Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is James Caton, and this is the Generate Now podcast, the Microsoft podcast, where you will hear from our partners and our customers on their Azure OpenAI and Copilot successes. Today we have Deepak Khosla from LTIMindtree talking to us about their Azure OpenAI deployment at the UN High Commission for Refugees. This is a wonderful episode because it talks to the value of deploying these new technologies to assist people when they are most in need. Please listen on, and if you find value in these kinds of shows, share it with a friend, pass it on. And now to the show. Good afternoon, Deepak. Welcome to the show.
Happy to be here, James. I'm so excited to share, some of our learnings of doing this Gen AI program with our customers, with your listeners. So very excited and happy to be here.
This is a wonderful case study, Deepak. I'm really excited to hear about this and share it with our listeners around the world. So, Deepak, take a few minutes. Tell us about yourself, the organization you're with, the work that you do, and then we can get into the really unique and I think really valuable case study that we're going to talk about because it truly impacts people's lives, especially at the moment when they need help the most. So real excited to get to that part of the conversation. But first, let's hear about you, the company, and the organization.
Absolutely. So I'm Deepak Khosla. I live in Bay Area. I am the enterprise AI business head for LTIMindtree. LTIMindtree is a digital service provider to many of our customers. We basically work across industry segments, from financial sector to insurance to manufacturing to basically media entertainment and so on and so forth. We've been one of the fastest growing system integrator in our segment for last 4 to 5 years. And as part of my role, I help customers, before Gen AI make a value out of their AI investments. But since, Gen AI has become mainstream, we are helping customers to figure out the use cases, the right use cases that they can not only experiment, but move to production. Our focus is always in terms of how we can bring scale using Gen AI and give them a little bit more of a differentiated outcome using this new technology, right? So our focus is three-pronged. Either we help our customers grow revenue using Gen AI solution, or bring them operational efficiencies, or transform engineering. Again using some of the great models that OpenAI and Azure is bringing together. So that's me, James, sitting in Bay Area.
Perfect. So let's dive into it. This is a really interesting conversation we're going to have. So this is a project that LTIMindtree has done with the United Nations. So it's different from the typical conversation we have where we're talking, retail chatbots and knowledge management for maintenance and operations, right? This is something there that can really impact lives around the world. So talk to us about the UN agency you're working with, and what was the problem that they were trying to solve that they came to you with?
This is a global non-profit organization arm of United Nations, which is dedicated to save lives and protecting rights of the refugees, right? The way you just said, James, right? Not only the refugees, but the communities who are forcefully displaced, or for that matter, people who are technically in a stateless mode, right? Which do not have a country to call as home, and help, some voluntary movement to a third country. UNHCR is in business of saving lives and families. So for me, this is very close to my heart, and the work that they do is so impactful that, never ever, you can kind of, compare it in dollar terms and stuff like that. So that's the agency through which we are working, and we have built this particular platform. So that's a little bit about, UNHCR. Now, second part of your question in terms of, the challenges that they were facing. So, James, look, if we look at cities like Haiti, Gaza, countries like Colombia, this list of cities and countries where crisis is there is ever growing, right? And people at UNHCR is often busy with the administrative paperwork to find out the right information, which stresses their ability to serve the most vulnerable, help the people when they are in need, right? So as you would imagine, this is an organization where whenever there's a humanitarian situation which develop, they need to have a real-time response, right? They need to understand what is the international laws, local laws, what are the field operation details, what are the various programs that UN as a charter would have that they can basically use in this particular scenario. Time is of essence over here because we are talking about lives of people, right? Um, and it's not only about the laws, right? They also need to know their own protocols, right? Which protocols which is spread across in different set of documents, different places, and all that information needs to come together so that they can basically figure out what is the right program, right action that they can take for that particular situation, right? Just to give you an idea, James, the kind of questions, these agents, these affiliates are dealing with is, what kind of contributions can UNHCR receive? Can they receive a direct foreign contribution? What are the programs which are valid for a particular country? What kind of can they receive funds without a receipt, right? Who should they contact in terms of the land operations for a particular country? What are the contact details? So that they can get all this information and then they can decide the act that they need to do, the action that they need to do for that situation. So that's the background, James, in terms of what we are dealing with, and this is worldwide, cities and countries. We're talking about tens and thousands of affiliates, agents, which are basically working across 24 hour to get some of these things done.
So Deepak, so how much of the information that is being queried and needs to be understood is internal to the UN? It's something known, right? It's a corpus of data that they manage, and there's people that own it and IT administrators. And how much of it is outside of the UN? So, for example, if there is a disaster in Colombia, is there some aspect of looking at the public information from the Colombian agencies and using Azure OpenAI to query that and make that part of the response back to the person at the UN that's making the inquiry? So there's the known corpus of data, and then there's the potential unknown, World Wide Web type of data set. Is that also part of the use case?
So the use case has both the data aspects, the programs data that's there, the policies data which is there, all that data resides within the UN landscape itself, right? But the way you just said, what's the law of the land? What's the latest status on the operations which is happening over there, right? Some of this data resides outside. But what we have done is we just don't go and do query real time some of these sources, because again, you have to have very high degree of precision in terms of the recommendation that will come out of it, right? So from that perspective, there is a process wherein we get, some of these external data sets in. But largely that we are talking about is the data sets which resides within the UN and the UN Nation repository, but it resides in multiple places. It's not as if it's, well cataloged and kept in one location. So you could imagine it's a huge organization which is there, James. But keep in mind, we have to have very, very high degree of precision in terms of the recommendation that comes out of it, the inference that comes out of it.
And is that data multilingual, right? In some cases it's English, in some cases it's French, in some cases it's Spanish.
Both the data is multilingual as well as the agents are multilingual, and hence the solution is multilingual.
Is this something that the UN was doing previously and wasn't doing very well, and they said, hey, we can do it better with generative AI? Or this wasn't being done at all from a technology perspective, and this is really an opportunity to come in and do something new for the UN and provide them this much more expedited way of providing information back to the UN operations officers in these critical times of need?
No, you bang on. Very, very valid question, which is, the And it goes in terms of the business case of this implementation which was done, right? And if you allow me, I want to give you two aspects of this answer, right? The first aspect is, okay, number one, this work was being done. It was always being done. You always need to have all this information before you basically decide the action to it. It used to take between hours to 2 days to get this particular response out, right? With this solution, and I'm giving you an end result, it takes about seconds to minutes to basically get the result out, right? But going back to your question in terms of the productivity and the business outcome of this, I look at it from two aspects. The first aspect is saving human lives. Now that's priceless. You just cannot monetize it. You just cannot put a dollar value against it, right? So even if this solution helps a particular scenario in a particular city, in a particular country, even to help one family get the right resources that's required for them to basically survive, that's it. But having said that, we also have to look. Every such programs have their financial rules and stuff like that, and they are also answerable to their fund owners. We did the value analysis when we started doing a bit of POC and POV, and we figured out that per agent it basically saves about 40 minutes per day, right? So if you apply it, and it's been launched to a certain segment of the affiliates and agent at this point of time, at this, and which is about 1,000 to 2,000 users, right? It's about 290,000 hours a year is of the saving that comes out, right? In percentage term, it's about 30% that gets saved, right?
Well, and the money it isn't money saved. It's money that used to be overhead funds to pay for staff that can now be used to provide better impact and more impact to a community in need.
Absolutely. And while I talked about one facet of this program, this program and the platform which has been set up is also used by some other internal functions. Like this platform is also used by their audit and compliance department. So for them, the big question is that the funds which has gone for that program should be used for that particular program, and the rules and laws and the policies which is defined in that particular program, right? So they use this program to find out, are there any variations? Because you could imagine, the spend receipts and the traces would come in different form factors. It'll not be one single page or an Excel file. It'll be various kind of documents and stuff like that. So they also use this particular platform to find anomalies in terms of the spend pattern and all that. So that's again one big value add. This platform is also used as an HR bot internally, for the agents to, know, okay, normal questions, parental leave, sick leaves and, all that stuff, to a little bit more policies of, hiring interns and things like that, right? And more advanced policies in terms of code of conduct and things like that, right? So again, you build this whole platform, and then use cases, keep on mushrooming out of this, James.
So how did this conversation start with the UN? Did they come to you and say, hey, I heard something interesting about something called, Azure OpenAI, and what can we do with it? Or did someone at LTIMindtree look at, an opportunity to really have an impact?
So if you see, our parent company and, LTIMindtree ourselves, we are engaged in a lot of these organizations in terms of giving them a lot of digital services, right? So from that perspective, we are a known entity to them, right? In this particular case, Microsoft was also involved. Microsoft, LTIMindtree, and the champion from the UNHCR. They basically, and this is few months back, right? They wanted to figure out if there's a way that this particular problem can be solved using Gen AI, right? A quick POC was done. Again, awesome partnership between LTIMindtree and Microsoft team over there to basically show them the power of it, prove the use case, bring some other use cases into it, and start figuring out, what would be the stack, right? And then you start talking about, the various layers and, how this program will be executed and so on and so forth, right? And then we launched it. So from that perspective, one, and this goes back in terms of how we operate, we basically look at our customer, the customer journey, their digital investments that they have done, and basically come out with, Gen AI interventions that could help them, right? So that's one proactive motion that we do. But again, thanks to all of you, now everybody knows about Gen AI and power of it, right? It's matter of finding the right use case. I'll say in this case, self-marketing, finding the right partner to basically not only experiment. There is so much experimentation going on in the world, but actually move it to production and show the impact of it, James.
So that's actually awesome. And a small detail that the listeners may not know. So for me, this is two worlds coming together. I used to work for L&T for 3 years, and now I'm on the Microsoft side, and being able to promote a partnership with my prior company that is doing incredible work. It just brings everything together quite nicely. So, little personal note there for people that are listening.
It's always, good to hear that, so the other person has been part of the ecosystem that we are in, right? So we take a lot of pride, and James, the kind of work, our group company does. So we take a lot of pride in helping building countries and cities and societies. And that's one passion that I also carry, and hence LTIMindtree is a home for me. James.
Perfect. Outstanding. So Deepak, let's talk about the approach a little bit. This is Azure OpenAI. For the technologists that are listening, any other technologies that were used to help enable this?
So, four broad things in terms of the technology components of the solution and the architecture that we had. Number one, we did the integration of Azure OpenAI for all the enterprise artifacts and the documents we had. We applied conversational AI for knowledge management, to basically give real-time insights and decision support. Cloud infrastructure, scalable infrastructure was something which was very important, and hence it was needed. In terms of core technical services, again Azure Cognitive Services, modern workplace solutions like Teams, SharePoint. We used M365 Copilot, and React frontend microservices was used on an application which was running on Azure VMs to basically launch this whole thing up, right? These are few things from a technology perspective that we did. There are few other interesting things also that we kind of launched as part of this solution, because remember, to large extent, inferences of Azure OpenAI is quite good. Now we are at a state of maturity that if the right kind of question is asked, the inferences comes right. The real magic that needs to happen is in the search part of it, right? In terms of where do we need to basically search, which document do we need to search, how the context needs to move from one document to other. Does the chunking strategy is basically creating a divide which is not giving you the right answers, and so on and so forth, right? So from that perspective, we enabled few cool features. We basically, number one, had some kind of a ranking scoring profile for all the documents which was used by the RAG pipelines, right? So this was an programmatically a function which will rank the documents on certain parameters that we discussed with the business, and based on our initial proof of concept, we started ranking that, okay, these are the documents that you would start searching first, right? Then second, we started giving the users follow-up questions. Now, this was very important from prompt engineering perspective, right? That you cannot give them, template cannot have all the right prompts which is required for every persona and user, right? So what we thought was that we would start giving them some follow-up questions which will help them drive the right answer to the first question that they have asked, right? So that we don't leave any room of, we have to leave room for human thinking to come in, but we give them the right set of aids, right? Which is not only the prompts, but also the questions which should be asked before you basically are entirely sure to do that, right? Then the third part is, always traceability, right? The agent wants to know where this information finally is coming from, right? And it most often than not leads to certain documents that it will basically go. But what we have done over here, we have also implemented user query contextual summaries, right? So instead of whole documents, if the user, and these are all configurations that if done will then be applied. If the user wants to know exact paragraph on which this has been used and pulled, it basically comes out of it, right? So some of these features have been implemented in this particular solution that we have built.
So, Deepak, that second point that you made, if I understood that correctly, you are asking follow-up questions to the user to confirm the intent of the question and to validate the response that you're sending back to the user.
So look at it from a context journey, the information journey. The user has asked a question, right? Now, there has to be some more hints given to the user to make sure. It could be that the first answer itself is good enough and you can move on, but maybe it's not good enough, right? So we want to basically give the users the hints on the journey that they are taking to get that particular information to basically arrive at the final right answer, right? So you ask a question and you get an answer. You're like, okay, this is good. But how about some more follow-up questions that has been written? Now you read those follow-up questions. You're like, okay, maybe let me ask this also, and I'll be doubly sure. Or maybe this is an angle I never thought about. Now those hints are coming, from, of course, the activities that the agents are doing, the persona of that particular person, and all that which is there, right? I'll not go deep into the secret sauce of how this was implemented, but so all those things will basically come into play, and that gives the right experience for the user, right? Because solutions like this, if it starts going wrong, you lose the users, and that's not something that you want to have, right? And it's still new in terms of the whole change management part of it, in terms of human interactions with LLM and all that. So I feel that, and my organization feel that we need to have some kind of a guardrail, some kind of a support system for some of these solutions that's been getting built.
So in some ways, you're holding their hand as you walk through the conversation.
Yes, that is right. If the users wants to.
There's an aspect of reskilling, right? Both on your side, your staff, you're having to learn how to deploy large language models in these technologies and manage the user expectations. But there's also an angle of reskilling the customer, right? And as you hold their hand and walk down the path of the conversation, they're probably learning how to have these conversations with an LLM. And the first time it might have been 6 steps, 6 times where you have to walk them down the path. And by the 10th time, they've learned how to ask the questions better. And maybe it only takes 2 steps, right? Could you talk a little bit about the reskilling that you had to do on your side with your staff, but then also with the customer side?
Absolutely, and this is a very pertinent question, very, very, very important question. So, number one, reskilling from our side. Now, this is an ongoing process that we have within LTIMindtree in terms of reskilling a lot of our folks, and the approach that we have taken is we have gone with the persona-based learning map, right? So we have built a platform, an edutech platform, which is called as Garuda. It's a kind of a name, Indian bird name like eagle, so to speak, right? But it gives you the wings. It gives you the wings to fly and learn anything new that you want to have in this particular space. Now, in this persona-based modules that we have, a prompt engineer will get to learn more in terms of how better prompt engineering is done. A data scientist will get to learn more in terms of how to interact with the various LLMs, right? A DevOps person will get to know in terms of how to interact with the right set of building the right set of DevOps principles in a new Gen AI world, right? So a lot of these learning maps is there, which our folks are continuously being trained on, and we always have a target. We have certification numbers and everything, and thanks to Microsoft, a lot of your courses is also part of this particular platform. So that's number one, which is always ongoing, which is there, right? So you would always have a pod which has got solution architect, you'll have a data scientist, you have change agents, you have business analyst, and you have prompt engineers, which is coming into play, right? So that's one part of it, which is our internal training and enablement, which is an ongoing exercise. Now, from a customer side, you always have a core team because you start with an experiment, with an idea, right? You basically help them, you build something, and then you help them train those power users on, let's say, a limited set of prompts. Maybe top 10 prompts for each functionality, right? You then help them migrate to a prompt, a template, and then from a template to a factory, right? You do some kind of a change management at both levels, the user level as well as the manager level, to let them know the limitations of the solution. Power of solution is always easy to share, but limitation of the solution is very important for them to know, right? So then you basically tell them about that. You help them understand how do you basically raise alerts, or how do you basically raise requests, and when do you raise requests when something goes wrong, right? So that particular change management and training aspects also happen. And then when the solution scales, then those power users, super users become your training app, right? They would basically go and train other set of users which will come into play, James, right? So that's how we are doing it. There's a lot of recorded videos, there's a lot of application FAQs, lunch and learn sessions which will always happen, and not only for this customer, for all the customers. Well, that's how we are training these guys. But I'll tell you one more interesting thing, and this is my observation, right? Customers are getting very smart. The kind of information which is present, and again, you only have to go to your, internal asset list to find out the kind of videos, to the last extent it's already present. And because of the way which this particular thing has created in the market, anybody and everybody is learning it, right? So I feel what used to be the challenge in the erstwhile cloud adoption that used to be there, and I compare the cloud adoption and journey with the Gen AI world. I think it's easier for us, our consultants, to be, because the other side knows a lot of these things.
The big difference, I think, with this transformation is cloud wasn't natural, right? It was a technological change. What's happening with Azure OpenAI is it's a human experience. You actually speak, and you either speak, with your voice or typing, but effectively you're using a human language to interact with data, and then the response comes back. So it's a much more natural adoption for your non-technical users to adopt this technology and make best use of it. So I do agree with you that customers are becoming much more smarter, much more quicker. And our challenge is going to be to rise to the opportunity that our customers are presenting to us.
Right.
And I think your company has done this very, very nicely in this example.
Absolutely. The focus should always now be, given that this technology has been in hands of a lot of enterprises for almost 9 months, is about, to move from experimentation to production. We have to, help customers scale this to production and make them continuously realize value out of it. So that, this becomes a little bit more mainstream across all the digital focus areas that an organization would have, James.
So Deepak, this is a great way for us to close the conversation today. As other customers look at how to start projects like this, given your experience, tips for customers, tips for the future, recommendations for the audience that's listening today?
Absolutely, and I'll try to keep them to top 5. Otherwise, we'll spend the evening and the evening supper also on this particular topic. There's so much to share. There's so much learning. But number one is about invest in high quality data, right? If you really want to have contextualized information, you want to make sure your data set is relevant, and there's an ongoing exercise to maintain that particular data set, right? So having high quality data set is something that's very important. 2, we talked about having an agile approach. You always start with a small program, you prove the value, and then focus on enterprise scale. Focus on the components that you need to have to build the right kind of platform to take these experiments, all across, the units and, multi thousands of users, and for that matter, directly to the customers, right? So always have an agile approach in terms of how you want to start. Just don't get bogged down with the enormity of, the final deliverable, right? third, I would say, and I said this before, Azure OpenAI is quite good in the inferences that it generates, right? What is important is the search part, right? What is important is that we know how to basically get the relevant data. We know how the prompt engineering should be done. We know how the user should be trained to basically use that particular application, right? So focus on the search part. I often say that leave the inference and the quality of inference and everything on the Microsoft side, because they know how to basically continuously improve on that particular part, right? We talked about change management, and we talked about this is a new way of human interaction with the LLM apps. We talked about how intuitive this is, for the users to use it, and hence there is always an expectation management that needs to be done. There's always, telling them in terms of what's possible, what's not, how do you basically interact, what kind of details you should go and get from here. So the whole change management part of it is very important, right? And lastly, I would say continuous monitoring. Model decay used to happen before Gen AI; it'll happen now also, right? So make sure you continuously monitor the outcome which is coming in. You have some kind of an human in loop to make sure you do continuous QA of the platform that has been built. You have the right kind of a setup to get the feedback back from the users, so that they just don't lose out in terms of giving you the feedback, and then incorporate that feedback in the application. So continuously looking at the performance and the kind of inferences that is getting generated by the application is very important. Both can be done using technology, but you need to have human in the loop also. So these are the 5 things, James, at least from this program perspective, that I thought I would call out.
So Deepak, the first one you mentioned actually caught my attention, because maybe it's the hardest. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but your very first comment was high quality data, right? That's not the natural state of data in the world that we live in, right?
Right.
So how do you manage a situation, which is probably fairly common, where you don't have high quality data, but the customer is expecting high quality results? How do you approach that, mitigate that?
So I would say we have a lot of data management principles, and good part of our business is data management and data engineering. So we have decades of inherent knowledge and best practices in terms of how to build some of these data platforms in a way that your data quality is good and decent, right? That's number one. We help customers on the data foundation layer with the data management principles, data governance principles, how to bring trust in the data that you're bringing in. So those could be applied, right? That's number one. Number two, I talked about in this particular case, how we started ranking the information that we have, right? That was all done programmatically, right? So we had those parameters and we kind of built it in the program, which helped rank the information well, right? So that in a way takes care of, making sure that we pick the RAG pipelines, pick the right set of data when it's there, right? The third thing is we work with our customers, with the stakeholders to take out non-relevant data from this whole environment, right? So from that perspective, it's a continuous engagement that we have with the customer also to basically help take care of the data sets that we are working with, right? And lastly, what I would say is, and I want to counter myself, is that while data quality is very important, it should not stop you in terms of building these applications, because an enterprise worth its salt at this point of time has decent amount of data and data quality principles built in it. What you need to basically make sure is the training aspect of it, the rack pipelines aspect of it, and if at all you're going into the tuning part of it, for that, what is the enterprise data that you need? Do you have that in your landscape? Because those would be unstructured, big way. So how do you basically take care of that particular aspect is the only important part, right? So again, a little bit of counter of what I said. Don't get bogged down by having everything in place, neat and clean, all catalog, and then start executing this program, James.
Well, and the thought that just occurred to me, Deepak, was people make decisions today with incomplete and not perfect data.
Yeah.
So from an LLM perspective, we should not expect the LLM to do better than what we can do. So, if we're able to make decisions based on
Yeah.
incomplete data and data that's a little bit dirty, right?
Yeah.
The LLM should be able to give us something that is close enough, and then human intuition and work experience and human experience will come into play and help you make that final decision.
That's the power of LLMs. Very well said, James. Very well said.
Perfect. Deepak, so for people that would like to learn more about the work that you've done, what's the best way for folks to get a hold of you?
My email address we can flash as at the end of this podcast. Will be there on your webpage. Hopefully, James will allow us to do that. Otherwise, yeah, just reach out. Go to LTIMindtree. And leave a query, and we'll be more than willing to basically come and help you.
Outstanding.
Or as I said, just send an email.
For those of you that are listening, we will have show notes, and we will have the LinkedIn profile link. And a landing page for those of you that would like to reach out to LTIMindtree and learn more about this project. So Deepak, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Very much appreciate it. Wonderful story. And thank you for your partnership with Microsoft.
Absolutely, James. And thank you for providing us this platform to take this case study out. I'm hoping it'll inspire, a lot of your customers to look at Gen AI and how Gen AI can help the human part of the world that we live in, right? As I said, business of saving lives is paramount. So thank you, James, for giving us this platform.
I love it. Thank you, Deepak.